Welcome to the New Rugged Order podcast, exclusively on the Hard Knock Digital Culture channel. Now give it up to your host, people, MM2K.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? It is your boy MM2K back again with a new NRO podcast. This is podcast episode 19. Man, we have a special one for you today. We have a great one for you today, but we're already glad to see that our staunchest supporters, aka Cold Blood Sensei, is already here. He says Xbox is dog-ish. He ain't wasted no time, bruh. He's not wasting any time in his propaganda fest. How come it ain't showing up? Hold on, Xbox. Okay, it's up there. I got it up there, but it ain't showing up. Oh man. Uh-oh. Let me see. Let me try this. You want to show up there? There it goes. It's showing up there, but it's not showing up here. What's going on? We got to fix that. All right, I'm glad that I noticed that, because we got to fix all the crazy stuff before we get started. Okay, let me see. Banner. Speaker spec. Okay, hold on. Let me take a look at the web. And that's PNTS Network, by the way. Okay, hold on. And that's the Twitch chat. Do I not have the Twitch chat here? I do have it here. So how come it's not showing? Oh, it got moved down there. That's why it ain't showing. Ain't that something? Ain't that a bippity blip, 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 blippity blip? All right, well, we got that all together. Shout out to my homie Cold Blood Sensei as always. He also says, hold on, we got a couple, man. He's going off today, bro. He says, the Iron Lords are talking to Circus. Let me say something towards that, man. Yeah, I mean, I get it was like satire, was supposed to be comedy or whatever, but the whole, but the underlying message is at a pathetic point. Hold the line for what? We're consumers. And with all this, you know what I'm saying, me versus you, box versus box talk, you're supposed to be gloating over your box's performance versus the other box's performance. Like I always say, this is not a sports team. Like sports teams, it makes sense to celebrate them no matter what, because that is a representation of your area. There's actually financial benefit, whether they do good or do bad. I mean, it's better when they do good, but they pay taxes, luxury taxes and all types to pave your roads, add money to your schools. A sports team is designed specifically for brand loyalty. That's their one and only purpose, is brand loyalty. There's an expectancy of winning, yes. And there's even an expectancy of winning there. But when you're not winning, you're expected to stick with that team through and through. That's what you do on average, because that's what they're designed for. A consumer or retail product or service is not designed for that. There is no cross benefit for even me praising PlayStation opposed to PlayStation providing me what I expect. If they're not providing me what I expect as a consumer, then there's no reason to praise them or support them, period. They are not a sports team. Okay. And anything else as your purpose for brand loyalty shows that you're not actually loyal to the brand because of the product offering. You just want to belong somewhere. and don't be fooled. There are a lot of creators. I've had these conversations with creators beforehand. Before there was this big Xbox content creation explosion, I had conversations with them all the time. I told them, I said, look, you're an Xbox person. I'm not. But one thing I can tell you is that the Xbox scene is going to blow up. I predicted it. Ask anybody that worked with me prior to this generation. They'll tell you, if they're being honest, that when I spoke to them individually, even though I had my mind made up as far as my personal choices were concerned, as far as content creation in regards to that, I told them, I said, the Xbox scene is going to blow up. It's just common sense. There was so much vigor and so many excuses and so much, you know what I mean? So much energy behind a crappy generation. When you have a generation that serves to have more promise, more, of capabilities of a global footprint for all your adulation and all your patience to come to fruition, that big bubble, that big bubble of anticipation was going to grow this platform significantly. And it grew it in a way to where people actually believed, who were with PlayStation, they actually believed that Xbox would execute on all that expectation. So they left PlayStation to go to Xbox, only to find out that it was just a marketing ploy for those that couldn't separate the forest from the trees. So the whole purpose of hold the line is, joking or not, it's stupid and it's ridiculous. That being said, the part that I am impartial to in a negative way, again, joking or not, is the whole adage about, you guys, I made you guys do, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop it. Stop. Like, even though you tried to present it and present it in a comical form, a comical package, and put like this satire-ish bow on it, no, stop it. Like, y'all mofos got hot a summer ago. Again, because of the Xbox, revolution. As far as y'all got hot a summer ago. I don't always agree with my brother with his old ass. We don't agree on everything. Nonetheless, you gotta give flowers to quote unquote Otis. He started this Xbox stuff. He's the one that told them. He made it popular and cool to support Xbox when Xbox was getting beat all amongst their neck and face on social media. He held the line, and he held the line for what? 7 years, pretty much. I'll say 5, maybe closer to 6 years. He held the line for like 6 years until he realized, hold on, this new posse, I'm gonna hold the line if I think my gift is coming eventually. But if you ain't bringing me no rations, you just leaving me out here to get bombarded. No, something got to change. So the ultimate hold the liner was Next Gen 721 and only. When Xbox presented nothing tangible, they weren't even giving you a glimpse of hope. They just kept telling you, wait till next year. I mean, they're still doing the same thing now, but at least they got 22 or 23 studios, Bethesda being one of them, in their helm. Last gen, they had none of that. And he still was holding the line then. So yeah, if he wants to switch, or if he wants to call Xbox dog-ish, I think he's earned that stripe more than anybody. It was easy to be a content support. So many people flipped from PlayStation to Xbox only because they realized what I realized, that the content creation scene was going to blow up and it was going to affect them positively. That's the only reason why they did it. Look at them now. You're dealing with the same Xbox. Actually, it's slightly better than what it was last gen when those same people were clowning it. Because Game Pass is better, but essentially it's the same as far as offerings are concerned. And look at them now. Now they want to clown Xbox. Now they want to revert back because, again, people are selling their Xbox and it looks like that the attention, the fervor, the pocket lining is going to go away. So they're going to go where the pocket lining goes. And you, as a content consumer, y'all got to be smarter than that, man. Jonathan in the house. Yo. I mean, I get it. Look, we ain't pulling the biggest numbers, and that's not why we do this. You know what I mean? We do this because we're trying to make sure that there's a record of the truth out there. I had some big conversations with some Xbox friends of mine over the weekend. And one of the things they were rambling about was, MM2K, you have nothing to say about this matter because you told people that Stadia was going to stay around and you fooled everybody. Look, we were enthused about very promising tech. Yes, did we put a lot of weight behind and support behind that? Absolutely. We're tech enthusiasts over here. It's been in my byline since I've been on YouTube. And Stadia had a whole heck of a lot of promise. Look, Mark Stratton, who's one of your first party developers for id Software, after being absorbed by by Microsoft, said the same things we were saying. And he worked closely on them. He said there's nothing that Google and Xbox are doing to stop them being able to succeed in the future. He said that after Microsoft absorbed them. He had no reason to give Google any accolades. I saw it. He saw it. Dozens of analysts saw it. The statistics show that we're not looking at pings, but when you look at dedicated usage, they were right up there with their peers. We showed you those numbers routinely. The problem is Google's top brass, that CEO and that board right under, they weren't smart enough to understand what they had and what they needed to do with it. You can see now that they were actually expecting not to make mainstream numbers, but to heavily surpass the other cloud gaming pack. And look at the commercials they put out. Look at the amount, quote unquote, or lack thereof, really, of advertising they did. They had no clue. Stadia team was brilliant. They turned lemon seeds into lemonade. They did the best that they could. It was that Google Alphabet brass who invested in the product, had the audacity to call the devs and asked them, what is it that you need? We want to make this thing better for you. Did presentations with them. I got communications, baby. I got it all. Wrote big checks, all that stuff. Only for them the following year to renege on that promise they made to the devs because they decided, I don't know. In my opinion, what they decided to do is they said, look, we'd rather thwart Microsoft, still get paid somehow residually through this cloud gaming thing. We'll create this product and support cloud gaming on the back end, but we'd rather thwart Microsoft. We're going to bow out of this. Bow out of this, whine to the CMA, whine to FTC, support another cloud gaming platform, and we just do it on the back end, and then force Microsoft to give them a 10-year deal. And we'll benefit off of Microsoft. That's the ultimate thumb to the eye. And it worked. If you're Google and you wanted your cloud infrastructure to get a big boost against your competition, but the way you thwarted Microsoft was a big plus for Google. Came at the expense of Stadia. I mean, that's my opinion. Came at the expense of Stadia, but still, they felt like Stadia was the low-hanging fruit and they rather do what they want to do. But regardless of that, gamers are excited that they, you know what I'm saying? Gamers are excited, even though Stadia died. Gamers like Jonathan and others who were disenfranchised from gaming, they got reinvigorated back to gaming via Stadia. And even though Stadia was a preferred way to play like it was for me, they got introduced into other great platforms, cloud gaming platforms. Some think that xCloud is great. Others think GFN, Amazon Luna, and they're carrying the mantle. So they're still happy. They wouldn't trade it for the world. They're disappointed that it went away, but they wouldn't trade for the world their experience with Stadia. They cherish it. I cherish it as well. And what it's done is it reinvigorated them to gaming, and it introduced me to my best way to play multi-plat games ever, through GFN. The performance I get through GFN Ultimate, I am now finally a 1% gamer. I'm bougie with it now. I get to eat my Triscuits and my crumpets and sip my tea and hold my pinky finger in the ear. I'm a 1%er now. I now can get output that only less than 1% of gamers can get because of GeForce Now Ultimate. That's how crazy it is. And GFN Ultimate is so superb that Digital Foundry said, you know what? We were all wrong about cloud gaming. We've changed our minds solely because of what NVIDIA GeForce Now Ultimate is capable of. So you ask me or ask any other cloud gamer, Stadia's gone. Like I always say, platforms die all the time, B. Dreamcast had a lot of promise. Dare I say, more promise than Stadia. I mean, Stadia's capabilities were different, but Dreamcast had a lot more promise because out of the gate, it was a mainstream machine. That died. So platforms die all the time, B. It's all about elevating tech, you know what I'm saying, pushing innovation forward, and hopefully those platforms stay around as people invest in them. That's ultimately what we want. But unfortunately, that powerful tech was in the hands of the wrong people. That's basically what it was. It was in the hands of the wrong people who did not have the stomach to wait it out once they realized, we're only going to grow the rate that other cloud platforms are growing. We're not going to be in some in-between space where we're not as high as consoles, but we're not as low as the rest of them. We don't think it's worth it anymore. And we got an opportunity now, in my opinion. We got an opportunity now to thwart Microsoft in the cloud. Let's go whine to the CMA. Let's tell them how they threw us out of the business, and let's still benefit from their games in a different way, because they don't want to give us their games. Hence why Amazon Luna doesn't have a 10-year deal. This was all designed to block Luna and Google. These acquisitions. Part of it is, they wanted the mobile, but the Bethesda deal definitively to block Google. And as I was told by prominent inside sources, Microsoft's mindset is they want Amazon and Google to say, why bother? They're buying up all the partnerships that could elevate our platforms. We're not ready yet to build stuff on our own at a significant level. We can't do it yet. We need partnerships, and they're buying up all of our partners that can help us. Bethesda was working on something called Project Orion that was going to heavily boost Stadia's performance to the levels of what we see with NVIDIA GeForce Now Ultimate. And Microsoft scooped them up, bought that, and that heavily hampered Stadia's ability to upgrade easily. Because now they had to rely on the developers to do it manually, and the developers weren't going to do that for a 1% business. So that was the purpose of these acquisitions, for the most part. Proven in the fact that Amazon Luna doesn't have a 10-year deal. So what does Google do? They say, okay, the bigger catch is cloud gaming altogether. We're going to kill Stadia. We're going to create this back-end service. We're going to support another cloud gaming platform service. And then we're going to approach Microsoft with them and force Microsoft to give them a 10-year deal. We still benefit. Sucks for consumers, but that was, in my opinion, that was their motivation. Exactly. Stadia dead and still giving Microsoft hell. Even in death, Sean, even in death, Stadia won. Even if they had to help Amazon Luna and celebrate the victory dinner with Amazon Luna, they won by thwarting that APK deal. So, again, yeah, those of you that try to use the Stadia crutch to try to deny the facts that we're putting out here, it doesn't work. I had somebody tell me it was some BS. You misled the Stadia gamers. The Stadia gamers is happy. The former Stadia, y'all happy. Y'all not happy that they're closed, but you're reinvigorated into gaming. And to prove that they appreciate the efforts of the now Cloud Dosage team, we've had the highest unique visitors to our site ever. We're killing it in productivity more than we ever did on a YouTube channel and the previous websites combined. We reinvigorated old gamers back into the gaming realm. First and foremost, it was Stadia that did it, but we helped broadcast that and help bring people in. Do I feel disappointed in that? Absolutely not. So cut it. And it's a lot different. I saw this video. Cold Blood Sensei is so sick. He's a sick puppy. But I saw this video, and I'm going to get right into it. I saw this video with this dude. I really don't like naming names, but I'm going to do it right now. Cold Eastwood, Cold Blood. Cold Eastwood got into it with like some serious Xbox zealot. I hate calling him that. He seemed like a nice guy. And the guy was like, look, I didn't like what Colt was saying against Redfall. I thought it was over the top. Colt responded to me and said, well, if I don't appreciate him, I just can go, in so many words, go wood buff Microsoft and block him and don't follow him and whatever. Like he's now he's MM2K, now he's next gen 720, now he's all of us. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brap. Now he's all these other people that for years was like, look, man, something's a foul here, man. And I love Xbox, but I can't rock with this. Now he's part of that camp. You know what I'm saying? Because his brand is in trouble because of all the capping he was doing for Redfall. And so the guy, even though I don't agree with the guy's assessment of Redfall, and he said the higher ups of the Xbox community, higher ups, these motherfuckers keeping your lights on, bro. What is you talking about? They spoon feeding you oatmeal in the morning before you go to work, or is your job watching Cold Eastwood? And giving him super jack. That's your job. But anywho, he responded to Cold Eastwood and he said, well, look, if you wasn't out here saying all this crazy, silly foolishness about Redfall, about how it was so great or whatever, then my expectations versus what you're saying now wouldn't be so disappointed. Because how are you going? You went from point A to point Z. You did a 180 just like that. I believed and trusted in you, bro. And you misused my trust. That's what he said in so many words, and I agree with that. Even I don't agree with the zealotry approach. I agree with that. These people may say, oh man, I'm just console warring, or oh man, this is just satire. But no, in the moments where you're having serious discussions, about the state of console gaming or the state of mainstream gaming, particularly AAA gaming is what we're concerned about. If you just want to play pizzle, fizzle, chisel popper, then turn this off. You can listen, but this ain't relevant to you at all, bucko. But for those that care about the state of gaming and Microsoft's enhancement of it, in that AAA genre defining realm, you were misled. And no, people can't claim satire or we just call it. They can't do that. You misled people for your own purpose, and particularly the ones like, I really blame the ones, well, they're all to blame, but the worst ones, they're all bad, they're all horrible. But the worst ones are the ones who were batting 100 or batting 1,000 for PlayStation. Then all of a sudden switched to Xbox. There was a lot, most of those that did that, they've been on the gaming scene long enough to know that Xbox, and as we're about to expose here, Xbox is full of a lot of empty promises. Their best product and service, their best offering rather, to keep their consumers invigorated isn't product, it isn't quality, it's Phil's doublespeak and their ability to get you to buy in the perpetual state of wait. That's their best offering. That's their product. To get you to buy into the perpetual state of wait and to get you to fall for Phil's doublespeak. That's Xbox's best offering. So anybody that was batting 1,000 for PlayStation last generation, that's been on the scene even just as short as I have, since 2017, knows that. There's nothing that changed about Xbox and Phil Spencer in any critical fashion, even after absorbing companies, because you've seen what they did to other companies that they held. Hell, the one that survived the most, the longest, and was able to succeed, even under OG Xbox, who they weren't the greatest in grooming talent. Their OG Xbox and the 360 specialty was making deals, making partnerships. That's where they broke ground. It just so happened that Bungie was so well organized and had such thick skin in dealing with Microsoft's BS that they were able to survive that cluster blank of a management team, of internal studios. And to prove my point, they even made Bungie leave. And this is before Phil was in charge of Xbox overall. So Xbox never been great at grooming internal studios. They just had a diamond in the rough with Bungie, and their claim to fame was going to the talent in other places, partnering with them. What do you need? And working closely with them to make bangers. So those people that were batting 1,000 for PlayStation, they knew that. They know this. And they know that this current regime was even worse at grooming talent. They know they didn't have the capabilities of Yoshida, who looked at Cory Barlog and saw his original offerings for the God of War reboot and said, no, this ain't it. Go back to the drawing board. They know that Xbox didn't have those capabilities, but yet they still, quote unquote, make the switch and convince you, the gamer who wasn't the wiser, that, yeah, Xbox is going to kill it, when there was no sufficient data, no sufficient change in management style or even management at all to conclude such. They knew it. They didn't care. Here's what they thought, though. They thought that what was going to happen was the Xbox decline would be gradual. They didn't expect them to fall off the cliff like this. They said, hey, look, if people can be exuberated or extremely excited about Xbox quadruple the times as they did last gen, and they just do a little bit better than last gen, we got a profitable thing going on here. They thought they didn't think that Xbox, especially with Bethesda, would fall off the wagon this hard. They didn't expect that. They knew it was going to be bad. They knew it was going to be lackluster. But they said in Xbox's double speak, perpetual state of wait way, they're going to string it along, and they're just going to do a better job of stringing it along than they did last gen. That's going to be marketable for us. And now that Xbox fell off the wagon, there's nowhere else in the race, in the little maze for the rat to go. Now that they fell off the wagon this hard, now everybody's scrambling. Oh, how did this happen? So yeah, to that cold blood, it's a bunch of malarkey. Hold the line, hold these nuts, like you said. Please stop it. Stop playing with gamers like that. Hold these nuts. All right. And in the long run, the only person that deserves credit for holding the line is Next Gen 720. Because he held that line when them monks didn't have nothing. Again, still the same team, still the same perpetual state of wait mind state, still the same mismanagement, inability to manage what they have, big or small. But at least the optics were better. And I can see how the optics can fool you newer gamers, people that didn't know any better. Next Gen had to hold the line when the optics looked like the Great Depression. It was bad out here. Scalebound got canceled. Right? Fable Legends got canceled. Now, and Fable is his favorite series. They weren't bringing nothing to the table. That's when he was holding the line. That's the only person that gets credit for holding the line as far as I'm concerned. You do it now when these mugs got 23. They got more studios than PlayStation. They got Bethesda, damn it. And they still can't produce nothing? Hold these nuts, please. I'm with cold blood on that one, bruh. It's ridiculous, man. Stop playing with these gamers like that. And then you can't use satire and all that other. You can't use that crap as an excuse. And don't worry about what we doing over here or what platform I supported that got debunked. We support the whole tech, which is cloud gaming. And we doing the Lord's work and bringing gamers back. We telling them come back. And this platform under the cloud spectrum maybe didn't make it, but now but there's a variety of ones that are suiting their needs. We bringing gamers back to the forum. We ain't fooling nobody. Y'all sitting there scrambling because y'all been fooling mugs. Y'all scrambling trying to figure out what to say now, whatever. Because y'all been fooling mugs, beating them with a cash register for your super chat or whatever, or Google ad money or whatever. We got straight on the horn and we told them the day that it was announced, hey, look, man, it is what it is. We're not going to make no excuses for it. We were wrong in our personal theoretical assessment, but cloud gaming is still one of the greatest things out here, and we still love the community, and we're going to work to help people find out where they're going to go next. And that's exactly what we did. When Stadia failed, and even though they were giving people back their money to make other choices, we gave away thousands of dollars worth of goods to help people transition into different ways of platform. We were sending shit all over the globe. Excuse my French. Sorry if you're at work. We send stuff all over the globe to gamers. What are y'all doing? A lot of y'all getting these super chats and these members, and y'all don't even give away nothing monthly. What y'all going to do for these gamers that realize You know what? Xbox is trash and they go trade it in. And they ain't going to give full value, especially for their digital purchases. So now they got to start all over again. What y'all doing for them? Don't worry about what we doing over here, man. we Gucci over here. You are the non-creatives who now got to figure out where to go next. Because you can't go to, if this completely collapses, you can't go to PlayStation. You can't go to PlayStation. That's why y'all kicking and scratching and clawing for life. Stadia died. We were disappointed. We helped people transition. We moved on. Shout out to NVIDIA GFN. You know what I'm saying? They're showing love and support that I have yet to see anywhere. And then that's nothing against any other platform that have shown love and support too. That's just a kudos to NVIDIA GeForce Now. Their love and support and balance that I've experienced is like nothing else I've experienced ever. We Gucci over here. You got to figure out how you're going to be a creative and how you're going to do better for your brand and stop bamboozling people. And then ultimately, you got to find out where to go. And will they even accept you? Don't worry about what's going on over here. Shout out. Yeah, exactly. That's what they doing. That's what they doing, Sean. They got to hold that line. They hold the line. They holding the line. Out of here, man. Stop playing with people like that, man. Stop playing with gamers. Let's have the real conversations. Stop it. Y'all can't rest on that. Oh, this is just console war. No. The console war is the entertaining part of it. But behind it, gamers are expecting reality, truth, fact-telling in regards to purchasing decisions and what they mean. You can't just cover it up and say, unless you got a disclaimer all over the place, we are not to be taken seriously at all. Unless you got those type of disclaimers, this is for entertainment purposes only. We are not to be taken seriously at all, which none of you would have, because you know that the reason why the people come to you is because of the support of the platform that they support, and they feel like that, you know, beyond preaching to the choir, that you're giving them some insight into the platform they support. Stop playing with these consumers, bro. Stop doing it, man. Sickening. Stop hoeing that line. Hold these nuts. hold the line. Get out of here. Anyway, all right. Let's move on. Let me show you guys some stuff. Let's see here. Where we at? This is PNTS Network. Check us out for the latest and greatest and gaming news, hardcore gaming news, mainstream, cloud gaming, all it, you name it. We got our articles. We got our PNTS general content, whether it's game streams or videos, and then we got our podcasts. Check them all out here on pntsnetwork.com. And if you like your boys' content, if you're enjoying these conversations, you can go under the members tab to MM2K Gaming. Or you can simply use pntsnetwork.com/MM2K Gaming and go and see my bio page. Like you can even come to our page right here and see me live on Twitch. See my latest stuff on YouTube, all that stuff. Check that out on MM2K Gaming or at pntsnetwork.com/MM2K Gaming. All right, let's get into this quick hit news, and then we're going to get into our big topic today, which is my newfound understanding of Xbox. Brings us full circle. Wow. Insane news when we talk about what's going on across the street. Well, and Cold Blood Sensei, you know, I got to hear your line of reasoning here, bruh. According to the latest blog post from Guerrilla Games, as of April 16, 2023, the Horizon franchise has sold through more than 32.7 million units worldwide. of which Horizon Forbidden West sold through over 8.4 million units. Millions more around the world have discovered Horizon thanks to PlayStation subscription services. See, that's what you're supposed to do. When you do it that way, and I know me and Cold Blood had a disagreement about this, but this is why I say I like bringing the game to the subscription service a year later. You could probably even do it a little sooner, maybe 8 months later, but I don't think I think when you see numbers like this, PlayStation is probably more enthused to do it a year later. They're big AAA hits. Here's the thing. This is impressive to me because even though Horizon Forbidden West is available on Xbox, is available on the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4. What do you call it? The Burning Shores DLC is only PlayStation 5. And I feel like the Burning Shores DLC had a lot to do with this recent number being as high as it is. So that means that a lot of people realize, look, I need me a PlayStation 5. And one of the go-to franchises that they decided to select, shout out to Cold Blood Sensei with 100 bits. Oh, Sean with the 50 bits. And Cold Blood Sensei with 100. He says, hell no, you outdo me and no Phil. We can't console Sony Spencer. Yeah, so I'm impressed. I'm impressed by what they did because again, I think possibly, well, a large portion of this is on PlayStation 5. And being that PlayStation 5 is still in its infancy, and the Xbox Series consoles are in their infancies, like we really ain't seen what these machines are capable of. I think those are impressive numbers. And it's just really, it's a thumb in the eye of those that are like, PlayStation games don't sell well. The thing with PlayStation games that I've realized is that the maturation is slower. Like even with Uncharted, for some reason, the only games that sell like gangbusters out of the gate, not Uncharted. Uncharted. The only games that sell gangbusters out of the gate, like within the first few months, is God of War, Spider-Man, and Last of Us. Anything else seems to like linger for a few months. Then after like 3 or 4 months, boom, they really start flying in sales. And I think part of that is because Sony wisely includes the games in with bundles, because these games are system sellers. So they'll bundle the game, you know what I'm saying? And then the game, after a few months, the games will skyrocket. It's a winning formula for Sony. And instead of looking at Sony and trying to find holes in what they do, ultimately they always see success. When you take in consideration the last few generations and even the last few years of the PlayStation 3 generation, they've always seen success with their current strategy. So it's indicative of, Xbox doesn't have to present the same products that Sony does, but there's a way that the game is to be played. And PlayStation is showing you the things that consumers want. And Xbox will be better served trying to jump into that mold as well, instead of trying to forcibly change consumer habit to support their war chest and their lack of grooming talent. That's basically what's going on here. They don't know how to cultivate games internally. And they don't care to do that. Their team isn't designed to do that because they think it's too risky. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. We showed you in our last episode where Yoshida said PlayStation may only see success out of 30 to 40% of their exclusives that they publish. Only 10 to 20% of them may make enough money to support the other ones that didn't make enough money. That's very risky. They say in order for that to succeed, we got to continue to search for, help, and groom talent. So you not only do you have to be ultra talented in this regards, but you got to keep pressing at it, because despite your talent, your success rate isn't going to be high. That doesn't foot the bill for a company like Microsoft, who likes to mass produce. They like a proven way where it's easy to replace the cogs and just keep the assembly line going. They don't appreciate or understand the art that comes into gaming. They just see the money that can be made and they want to be part of it and they want to expand it. You can't expand it when the art of it, the quality of it, requires that much dedication in order to create a hit. So what do? You make the industry less dependent upon hits and more dependent upon volume and outreach. Here's the thing with being a gamer, which a lot of people miss. It's art. It's like being a gamer, to me, and understandably so, is like a fortune cookie. Maybe a little bit more expensive fortune cookie. When you were younger, remember how you, give me your fortune cookie, give me your, that was the biggest part of your meal when you were younger. Because you were hoping to get that one fortune in that fortune cookie that was relative to what you were going through, or something that you thought a dope quotable or whatever. And you may run into some duds. You may run into some decent ones. But for that persistent pursuit of that one fortune that's really going to inspire you, hell, you'll keep buying a whole meal that you may not necessarily want all of it right now to get that fortune cookie. That's what a lot of us did when we were younger. That's what gaming is like in a lot of ways. You'll see inspiring games. You'll see games that look good, that have good concepts, but ultimately when you pop them in and you play them, they're not the best, but it's okay. Rinse and repeat. That's how it was for us growing up. Do you think every single game released on Nintendo was great? Every game on Genesis was great? No, absolutely not. We went through a lot of duds to find those diamonds in the rough. But when we did, we were totally inspired, and, producers and video game devs could see the numbers, and they could then get a better understanding of what we were looking for. And then they can pivot their art and their ingenuity and their ideas off of that. And that just kept making gaming better, 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 and better. But it was still always going to be a game of, look, you're going to run into some duds. You're going to run into some decent experiences. You're going to run into the latter more than you are going to run into awesome experiences. But in the pursuit of that awe-inspiring experience, it's worth it. That's the mind state of a gamer. And Microsoft is trying to take that away. They're basically saying, look, we're trying to cut out, because they didn't want a Redfall. They didn't want Redfall. They just don't have the ability to see that it was that bad, which is sad. And in order for them to make their experiment work, you have to be better than what Phil is and what Satya and that whole organization is. You got to be better than what that organization is at understanding how games are going to land. And Phil, with his cockamamie excuse, oh, we should have sat with them longer. Damn it, Phil, you told us that Crackdown 3 was going to come out good. Phil, you have no idea what quality is. You just like playing games, period. So I don't want to hear that cockamamie excuse from you, Phil. That being said, what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut out the crap. Anything that's below 70, they want to admonish. But trying to fight and waste and put at risk, I don't want to say waste, put at risk an exuberant amount of resources to get anything above a 90, they're not too concerned about. They want to give you those games that are in the 70, 80 range, and they want to give you a whole bunch of them to make their platform honest. Give you a bunch of mediocre to, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. This is pretty decent. This is pretty good experiences, and cut out that the hunt, the fortune cookie hunt that it typically goes with gaming. But here's the problem. When you do that, it's no longer gaming. Gaming is what it is because of that fortune cookie hunt. Yeah, people will get disgruntled and say, man, that was trash. Man, I can't believe it and all that. And then what they do is they just move on to the next one. But by you trying to cut off that experience, you're taking away the decision making and the thrill in a lot of ways, and the sense of urgency that comes with being a gaming consumer. The good and the bad makes the overall experience. So you try to, and it becomes, and it's worth it. The risk reward is worth it because, yes, even though I may deal with a bunch of games that fall flat, when I find that game that blows my mind, man, it was worth it. Man, it was worth it. I even forget about those other games and I laugh. Oh man, remember when we bought remember when we bought ET and I don't even worry about those. It's a laughable event. By you taking away the bad and taking away the extremely good and just leaving me with the middle, you're taking away the excitement of the experience, the art, the hunt. That's not what gaming is about, Phil and Satya. So that's where Game Pass is just faulty in its proposal in the first place and with Microsoft. But what makes it even worse, what makes it doom and gloom, is that y'all ain't even good enough to keep it in the middle. Y'all are not good enough. That's why Phil had to say, if you notice, and this is glossed over in the Kind of Funny interview, but if you notice, Phil Spencer said in the interview, we're going to make games that land in the 60s, and we're going to make games that land in the 80s. He didn't say we're going to make games that land in the 60s, the 80s, and hopefully the 90s. No, you are so bad that you can't guarantee the 90, but let alone you can't hold the line at the 70s. That's how bad you are at this. It's horrible. That being said, now we understand what Xbox is. Now we know who they are. Because here's a breakdown of the misunderstanding. Xbox gamers, supporters, sympathizers, whatever you call them, erroneously argue that Xbox is forced to buy publishers because of PlayStation's aggressive second-party deals. When actually, no, that's not the problem. The problem is Xbox tried and failed miserably at flipping its plan of attack and surpassing their competition without transitioning properly and dealing with the threat that they had on their hands. What am I talking about? Well, Xbox essentially got into a fight, and while in the middle of the fight, wanted to change the rules of the fight to support them and deal with their lack of ability to fight under the current rules. That would heavily bend the rules of the fight in their favor so they could win. And so the competition saw that and they said, hold on. Y'all want to flip gaming upside down on its head, and we do the hard work of putting great quality products out here. Yeah, it's going to attack our bottom line, but you're also going to kill gaming, something that we're passionate about artistically. And yeah, if we allow you to do what you want to do and just wait it out momentarily and change the rules of the game, this is disastrous, not for us as a business, but gamers altogether. Now let me whoop your ass right now so you can't execute this plan. So let me give you an example. Let me give you an analogy. Say you and I, listener, are in a boxing match and you're kicking my ass. You literally are beating the brakes off of me. You beating me down to the white meat, as we say in the hood. Your hands, and this is a boxing match. Like, we're not allowed to kick. No, we just straight up boxing. And your hand speed is impeccable. You kicking my ass. All right? This is a legit boxing match. We're two boxers in a ring, sanctioned by an entity, WBF, whatever it is. You're the champ. I'm the challenger. And you just outclass me in every which way. You're whooping my ass. It's clear that you're the clear winner on points. And I really don't have a way to beat you in boxing. And it's noticeable up to round 5. Round 6, after we touch gloves, I tell you, like, hold on. While we're boxing in the ring and I'm putting up my guard and you still wailing on me, I say, you know what? F this. You kicking my ass. But you know what? Guess what? I've been learning MMA. You still wailing on me? Shut up, man. Getting this work. I was like, no. Look over there. You take a quick glance without letting your guard down too much. And I say, that's the legendary Gracie family. And that's who's going to train me. They're showing me how to take my opponent down in 12 seconds flat and break every freaking limb in the blink of an eye. And he was like, well, okay, well, what that got to do with me? You still well and hit me in the ribs or whatever. And I'm like, guess what? I'm already working on convincing the WBF or whatever, the division, to grant me a rematch if you beat me. If I lose this match, they're going to get me a rematch. Okay, and you sitting there saying to yourself, okay, well, I'm going to whoop your ass again. I'm like, whoa. But I've convinced them, the people that set the rules with my money, I was able to convince them to allow MMA rules in the next bout. And they said, hold on. And they count my money and they said, okay, we could do that. As long as I don't lose too bad, they can find a way to justify changing the rules to MMA style and putting the belt back up on the line. And I've used my money to change the rules, and I've been learning MMA. So go ahead, get your points up now. Get your points, you know what I'm saying, and win this game by split decision, you know what I'm saying. Now, when we go fight again, I'm breaking every limb in your body, right? Your days are numbered, mother. Right? So under a scenario like that, and you hear that, and let's just say at the end of the round, you go back to your corner. You're like, do you know what this motherfucker just told me? He told me da-da-da-da-da-da. And then the people in your corner are like, yeah, man, we didn't want to tell you that during the fight because we wanted you to stay focused. But now that you know, man, we just heard that in between rounds. I guess it's true. You gonna have to kick this dude's ass, man. Like literally, like knock him out. In a moment like that, Are you going to just sit there and be like, oh man, well, let me just give up and let him win the belt because I don't know MMA, and if I got to fight him again and he breaks every bone in my body, man, that's going to be bad. He's going to be. Let me just bow out right now and just let him win. Are you going to give up? Hell no. You're going to beat the brakes off of me so I don't have a chance. You're going to make it look so bad that I might not even want to fight anymore, let alone challenge you under these new MMA rules. Right? And that's what you're seeing now. Xbox sat there and said, look, we can't compete on quality. We desire to make games as good as PlayStation. They actually said that in DICE. They were conceding that they can't make quality games. They said that 2019 on DICE, while Phil, I think, was getting an award. For what? But he was getting an award. But what he was telling the industry is, look, we're going to flip the game up. So we're going to use our money and flip the game upside down on its head. We're going to make it about cheap gaming. And we're going to make it about cheap gaming at mass. And that's going to require a lot of loss lead. But guess what? We can absorb it. They can't. We are going to be the rulers. And you know what PlayStation said? The F you are. Guess what we're going to have to do then? We're going to have to derail your plans and make sure they don't go into effect. And you're too stupid to see how you not being pursuant and you just putting all your money paying off the people and stacking your money to try to influence regulators and politicians and stuff. You doing that. And then you trying to do win the court of public opinion through influencers and stuff like that. You doing that. What you don't realize, dummy, is that while you're trying to build your first party studios, you better have killer second and third party deals. Because you don't know how to manage these first party studios. It's going to take you a while to learn how to do it. We've already gone through that growing pain. And you worse than what we were at it. Way worse. So in order to supplement that gap before your first party is available, you need second party and third party games to fill in the gaps, to bring people over, to show why your box is the most powerful box in the world, to show why they should get your console over, and even to bolster your attempt to spread out to cloud gaming and PC gaming. You cite Disney Plus as a business model you want to follow. Disney Plus is successful. Why? Because they were known for having the best content out there. Disney Plus wasn't popular because they was going to show you a whole bunch of Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse things. They were considered as having the best Marvel, Star Wars, the best content out there is going to be exclusive to this ecosystem. And we created it. We're not going to give you that maturation period. Second party and third party is essential for your plan to work. Because you need something to fill in the gaps until your first party is ready. AKA, I'm going to beat your ass so bad in this boxing match, we ain't getting to no MMA fight. I'm going to beat your ass so bad right now before you can maturize your cloud gaming and your global 3 billion gamer footprint. You ain't going nowhere. You're still going to be in last place. You're still going to be in last place in consoles. You're still going to be in last place when it comes to money made in gaming, when it comes to being the top 3. You're going to be the bottom. You're going to be third place in consoles, third place in money made. That's what PlayStation did. And kudos to them for doing that. It's Microsoft's fault they weren't smart enough to execute their plan from 5,000 feet and make sure every single pillar that was needed was executed and invested in. You should have never given up on second party and third party deals. Never. That's what made Microsoft. The hell is wrong with you? You can't be that stupid. Or maybe you are. Look, I don't doubt that Xbox. What I'm not saying here is that Xbox will never have a AAA banger. Look, they have Bethesda. And at some point in time, Bethesda, even despite the mismanagement, as long as Bethesda stays, because you got to remember, Matt Booty had mentioned if developers don't think, developers and publishers that we absorb don't feel like the deal is working out, they might leave. Now, again, Bethesda, when purchased by Microsoft, was in a very bad financial situation. They were in a downward trend. They might have to swallow their pride and deal with this, even if they are contemplating this wasn't a good deal for us. You know what I'm saying? If that is the case, and they don't feel like it's right to back out of this deal, because look, morale's got to be low. I heard somebody say, I think that worked on Redfall, a developer or somebody that's with Arcane. On Twitter, I think they hinted, they said something to the effects of, I wish I could tell you what's going on, but, pretty much morale is at a low. Phil Spencer went on TV and threw you under the bus like you're a 3-year-old child, like you don't know how to develop. We got to show you what it means to be an Xbox game. The way he phrased that made it seem like that we got to show you that there's a level of quality that needs to be there. No, what he meant was we got to show you that we don't be sitting there dragging games out all like that. Games got to go in within a time schedule so they can meet our expectations for Game Pass. So you sitting there with this ambitious game, you should have learned where to trim the fat and still keep it a good game. That's what he was saying to them, which is theoretically impossible. Once you start on a game and the scope is set out, you build from that level. You can't just pull out, a few years early and expect to still get quality. Every moment that you spend on that game is important, especially if you're doing something from a larger scale than you ever have. That expectancy was stupid by Microsoft. It was another example of them being dumb. But I don't doubt that, like in Elder Scrolls 6, maybe even Starfield, we don't know. I'm not doubting that they won't have a AAA banger. But we've seen undoubtedly that because Xbox doesn't have the second party and the third party games in there that can fill in the gap, there is a tremendous amount of pressure on their first party that they're still trying to groom in ways that they don't know how and align them with their Game Pass product, the expectancies for Game Pass. So you're going to see a lot more duds, I feel, than you would have seen had these companies been independent. Look, Bethesda can do a good job in keeping the Game Pass package honest. They just need the time and space to be able to do so. And they're going through a recalibration themselves, again, because they were on a downward trend when they were purchased. So Xbox's mismanagement, along with Bethesda trying to refine themselves, it's just not a good mix. And I'm watching this space. I'm not saying it's a definitive. I can't put a percentage around it. It's just speculative. But with the low morale, I wouldn't be surprised if Bethesda was sitting there jumping out of their shoes and socks, their individual studios, and they were just hammering Pete Hines and saying, we need to separate. Either lines have to be drawn and expectations on development have to be better understood, or we're leaving. We're taking our talents elsewhere. And then Pete Hines would have to take that to, well, there is no longer a board of Bethesda because they got dissolved once they were purchased. But they got to take that to the highest levels of ZeniMax Online and decide what to do with that, if that indeed is the case that's going on, if the morale gets that bad. Here's the Xbox management issue in crux. Again, like I said before, they were never stellar at managing teams. I mean, look at Rare. You know, even in the Xbox 360 days, look at Rare. Look at they even made Bungie leave. Can you imagine if Destiny was a first party game? But they even made them leave. You know what I mean? And that was, again, before Phil even took over all the way. So they were never excellent at managing first party studios. They just excelled at collaboration. Think of Jade Empire, Mass Effect, BioShock. What do you need to make this stellar game? Therefore, and then this regime, again, is even worse than the prior ones. So Xbox, in knowing that, Satya, who don't get games all like that, really doesn't get games really, just sees the financials behind them and doesn't appreciate the art because he's not acclimated to gaming. Under those circumstances, because of how the management and the leadership team is built, they decided that, look, we're not going to keep paying and investing money in what they consider risky new IP that might fail collaboratively. Rather, let's just buy all the already proven content up for ourselves. They think it's that simple. And I would deem that to be something, that approach that Satya had. Let's just buy up all the great content. And Phil is probably gung-ho of that because he knows he's not good at managing content. He's not Yoshida. So he's probably gung-ho about that. But here's the problem with the strategy. It lacks the understanding of how the dominoes have to go in place in order for this to work. They have to take the console war seriously. Like, if you want to absorb first party studios, and now you're and Phil admitted this, that they have to reacclimate these teams into making Game Pass accelerant content. That's going to take time. And therefore, even if you weren't pinning deals for second party and third party games last gen, at the break of this gen, when the score was 0-0, you needed to do it this gen. And they refused to do it. They put all, again, and I believe this was the Satya Nadella failure of this. I feel like Phil was all gung-ho about buying already proven content, but I feel like that Phil probably was more desiring the second party, third party games to fill in the gap. But I can see someone like Satya saying, you know what? That doesn't make sense to me. Like look what happened with us with Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider was probably the straw that broke the camel's back for Satya. He looked at Tomb Raider. It wasn't as much of a success as he liked it to be financially for them. And he said, "This, break this down to me. Why are we doing this way?" And Phil Spencer probably broke it down to him. Well, this is part of the business. And Satya said, well, then we have to change the business. I'm here. I'm a transformative leader. And we're just going to change the business. Why not just buy the quality content, not understanding that this is an art? And even Call of Duty, hell, X-Defiant now, they're talking about that X-Defiant is going to be a serious threat to Call of Duty. What if that materializes in that way? What if you would have bought all these games from Activision Blizzard and they no longer were of the ilk, the quality of gaming years down the road? Again, I know Call of Duty has like broken records in the track record, but when you better understand gaming, expecting it to be that way again for another 10 years, that's absurdity. Maybe a game like Minecraft, who reaches outside of games, is in schools and stuff like that, has become like instrumental in life in so many ways. The base Minecraft game, maybe you can understand that, but Call of Duty is just simply a video game. There's no TV show. There's no toys. It's just a dependable video game series. That all can change in a couple of years. So before your 10-year deals maturize in quote unquote your favor, Call of Duty and everything under Activision Blizzard could be a dud. Gaming doesn't operate like that. So that was just a boneheaded, ignorant decision from Satya, who doesn't understand gaming, to even pursue it in that fashion without bolstering the lineup or bolstering these studios with second party, third party deals. If he was bolstering the lineup with second party, third party deals to allow for that match, or if he would approve those, then it would have a tenfold better chance of succeeding. But without those second party, third party deals, and Sony shows you all the time. All right, yes, they came out with Horizon. Yes, they came out with God of War. They got one game coming out this year. Most of the one first party game coming out. They didn't drop a bunch of first party games in these 3 years. They dropped about 4? A lot of their supplement has been behind second party games. And even though all of their second party games haven't blown it out of the water, they just help add to bolster the lineup. Gamers are looking for a lineup that they can rely on to say, okay, generally I may only buy this and this and this, but you guys have a variety here that piques my interest, to where if I want to go outside my norm, I got a number of games to do so. A number of games, that you're curating yourself to do so. That's how gamers look at gaming. So not bolstering that second party and third party lineup was a critical failure. Why was that a critical failure? Because now you're behind 2-1. You're getting closer to being behind 2-1 again. Now, even though your console was the fastest selling Xbox at one point in time, that has considerably slowed down. And now you're at Xbox One levels. I crunched the numbers, and around the same time, you were at 67% for Sony, and you 67% Sony versus your 33% around the same time last gen. You're in the exact same percentage spot now. So that whole fastest growing console moniker, that's pretty much out the window. Because if the numbers that I crunched are pinpoint accurate, I think you sold more consoles at this time than you did last gen. That one period, 18-month period, maybe out of the gate, you probably you definitively outperformed all your other console generations because you didn't even compete really last gen too much. And prior to that, competition was a little bit more stiff. Because the first 18 months of the Xbox generation, Xbox still wasn't proven. It was out first, but people had to understand what they got. And then after some time, they were like, oh, okay, this is the real deal now. We can pick this up. But you needed to, so now that it's again to Xbox One levels, now it's going to be harder for you to negotiate and get those deals. That's the reason why you're seeing all these games skipping the platform. Yes, a large part of it is it's harder to develop for this platform. It's even harder now with the advent of the Series S. It's even worse than last generation because the PlayStation 4 console was slightly easier to develop for. You heard developers talk about the ESRAM. They didn't like it in the Xbox One, but you didn't have the complication of a seriously lesser performant console like the Series S to worry about for parity. You do now. So now there is the excuse me, there's the development woes that they got to worry about, and you're losing 2-1 again. It's even worse than last gen. So it's really going to be hard for you to get 2P deals now. You should have started off this generation with a slew of second party deals that you negotiated last generation. What you got, Ark? And then that got delayed? Oh my God, this is going to be horrible. This is going to be horrific. And then we got yet another game. Let me show you guys. Yet another game, Quantum Error, that says PlayStation version is next gen. We're going all out as much as we can on PlayStation 5 within the confines of 60 frames per second. The PlayStation 4 version will be coming down later down the road, and it will be a downgraded version. We are not sacrificing anything on PlayStation 5 for the 4. And somebody said, well, how about the Series X and S? How's it going for those two consoles in terms of optimization? And the developer response, can't say for sure just yet on Xbox, but what we have seen is on the Series X is that the performance tends to be a bit lower by default, and we will have to spend some extra time to optimize it. Stable 60 frames per second on the yes, PlayStation 5 will be. He's confirming that for the 5, but not the Series X. And this isn't fizzle, chisel popper. Let's pop in a video of this game. And they got the PlayStation 5 version up. They don't even got the Series X. I mean, PlayStation may have the marketing deal. But they can't even definitively say how it's going to play. Look, developers are not going to sabotage their games on the platform. Now, they may have less incentive to do the extra work for the lesser performing platform. Like if I only got to do 100 hours of optimization for the PlayStation, but I got to do 200 hours of optimization for the Xbox to get you on PlayStation's level, I might just do the 100 hours of optimization and you get what you get. You know what I'm saying? Because money is time and time is money. And we saw that with the Xbox Series X. I mean, the Xbox One X. It took Red Dead Redemption for people to really utilize the bells and whistles that were involved with the game. I mean, with the platform. Because they're like, why would I sit here and go all out to optimize this One X and spend all this extra time on this when this is the least selling console out of all of them? Now you're running into the same thing because of the parity, because of the GDK, that, you know, is relying upon parity with the Series S. The people at Larian Studios helped you understand that with Baldur's Gate 3. Anybody that knows Larian knows they did not want to play the exclusive game. They even sent it to Google, who helped fund the game. We're not playing the exclusive game. Yes, we'll give you early access. We'll give you access to the early access first, but when the game comes out, everybody's getting it that can get it. And unfortunately, Xbox can't get it. Sorry about that hit. So now it's even worse. So not only, again, is this parity issue because of the Series S, but now you've gone so far off the reservation as far as console saturation, you can't get any second party deals. Well, so what? It's just a console. No! Again, time and time again, Microsoft cites Disney Plus as a model. They hate being compared to Netflix. They cite Disney Plus as the business model that people should compare them to. Okay, we'll do that. Disney Plus is known for having top-notch stellar content within its viewing sector. You don't have that. Why? Because unlike Disney Plus, you didn't partner with anybody until your ability to curate and house and distribute your own stuff had maturized. What am I talking about? Disney realized it was going to take it some time before they can do it in-house. So what did they do? They partnered with other people, particularly Netflix, to show their series, to get people's mouth watering over what Disney owned. And then once they were ready to do it on their own and do it better, they said, all right, now everything is coming from us. That's when you can shut off your second party deals. But you needed those partnerships in order to bolster your service. Just having a variety isn't enough when it comes to subscription services. You have to have stellar content for the business sector that you're in. And Xbox, you're not known for having that. And in order for you to get to that point, you need time to maturize the studios that you've purchased. What buys you time is partnerships. In this example, second party and third party. And instead of doing that, you decide, well, we're going to gobble up what's already proven. And that wasn't going to work. Y'all didn't do your homework. Now all that money that you wasted on court of public opinion, lobbying senators and stuff like that, is all down the toilet. It's all down the toilet. You were better off using that money again for second party, third party deals. Phil doesn't know how to do it. Maybe Matt Booty ain't the best, or maybe his job is designed in a different way. Bring somebody in that does and pay them well. I'm going to go beyond saying, I've changed my mind. That's hence the title. This brings us back full circle. I'm going to say what I said at the beginning. Under Satya Nadella, when I say at the beginning, this is before a lot of you, especially if you're a cloud gamer that's listening to this, when at the beginning of my content days, I laid doubt to Phil's ability and Satya's penchant to understand the art. We are now full circle again. I'm going to go beyond saying Phil should be fired. I don't think firing Phil and replacing him is going to fix anything. Not at this juncture. I mean, he's a huge part. His inability to manage content, like to sit there and say, well, maybe what we should have done is we should have sat with the team. What the heck are you talking about? I want to be hands off. You're a leader. You're a leader. Yes, you may acquire teams where you got to be more hands off on, where you say, I trust your decision. But as soon as you see the decisions being made are not acclimated to the vision that you want for the product you are in charge of, then you have to get involved. Otherwise, why are you there? What is the point of even having you there? What point do you serve, Phil? If you don't know how to balance, okay, these guys are talented, I'm going to let them run with it. I'm just going to peek in, check and see. If you don't know when to step in or don't have a good play, that's the purpose of your job, your role. And anybody that really intensely and emotionally don't understand why Phil is being blamed for this, you don't understand leadership at all. This is his job. I've had employees where I ain't got to watch them. I can trust them 99% of the time. But there were times when I peeked in the room and maybe there was just some other employee that just flustered them, and I realized, okay, I got to keep you away from this employee the best way that I can. Or this, where I have to get hands on. And even though you can trust Arcane, they know how to make quality. You had a certain expectation because I don't care what you try to say publicly. You pushed that release date. The person that told that rumor behind all that has been 1,000% right so far. You pushed that release date beyond what they were comfortable with because of the things left that they needed to do. And if you had this diehard period when you wanted the game to be out, you needed to sit with them and try to help it be the best thing that it needed to be. You know why you didn't do it? Because you don't know what you're doing. And you know this, man. You have no idea what you're doing. And you know this, man. But even with that, I've now come to the revelation, I don't blame Phil for this in entirety. If you would have had a better manager, this stuff would land better, but it would still fall well short of where it needed to be, because the ultimate problem is Satya Nadella. He has no desire in conceding to the artistic needs of the products and services. He just wants to mass produce. And because of his ignorance when it comes to gaming, he thinks it's just a matter of, well, let's just buy it. Let me throw out a couple of slogans. Let us compete. Let me try to pay some senators and all this other. Let me just buy the other. Let me just buy the other entities out there. And even if that happens, he doesn't understand the risk that's involved. There's no guarantee that Call of Duty, especially now we're seeing with X Defiant, that might have been a blessing in disguise for Xbox if they do right. If X Defiant ends up overtaking Call of Duty, I mean, it's not a given, but if that ends up happening, then your deal becomes garbage. Opposite of the mobile, it becomes garbage. And because of the leeriness that they have for you, even for a nascent 1% market, how do you think that CMA and they're going to watch you with your mobile dealings? It's going to be even worse. If they willing to block this deal over a nascent 1% market, what do you think is going to happen if if this deal was all about mobile? You have to be able to make strategic partnerships. You have to be able to groom talent in a way that people feel like they're getting top-notch quality. And in order for your footprint of reaching the 1 billion to 3 billion, whatever the number is this month, it changes every month with you guys. Whoever you're trying to reach, they got to feel like that they're getting top-notch quality for a very affordable price, aka Disney Plus. That's the true Disney Plus model. Now that Disney Plus got people hook, line, and sinker, a lot of people have been complaining about the state of the quality now. But guess what? They've already been hook, line, and sinker. They've been talking bad about it. But guess what? They're still paying. That's the whole get it and forget it narrative. But you're not even there yet. You haven't hooked them yet. Why? Because you may have the affordable price, but you don't have the quality. You got to have the top-notch quality, and it's not about just the console market. The console market, I think, is a great indicator of how much quality you have. So I wouldn't just breeze by that and say, well, it ain't going to flip so we're not worried about. No, it's a great barometer. Even if you don't surpass Sony, if you can sit there and be competitive in the console market, then you know the quality that you're putting out there is stellar. And once you use that as a barometer, then you can flip the switch and say, now it's time to expand. So really, to do this right, you should have tried to be competitive in the console market, and midway through, then flip the switch, really churn it up on cloud, really churn it up on PC. But you failed. You failed because things were out of order. You have a leader of your gaming division that does not know how to curate talent and knows when to step in. He's never known how to do that. He just likes video games. He's very passionate about video games. He likes a variety of them, and he wants everybody to access a variety of them. That's it. As far as Phil's talents, that's the extent of them. But just as bad, if not worse, is you have a head of your division that has the final say on what happens with gaming, that completely does not understand the art. And as someone who's backed Google Stadia, I now have an additional insight of what it means to have a CEO that cannot appreciate the art. Where Sony and Nintendo, they can't afford to have leaders that don't understand the art and don't understand the importance of quality. And don't believe for a moment that, because this whole thing that, well, Xbox is doing it different. Don't believe for a moment that PlayStation ain't in the cloud. Hell, there's even reports from the CMA that suggest that PlayStation, via their cloud, participation, is making more money in the cloud than Xbox is. Dare I even argue that I believe, and many of us believe, that extrapolates that we think Google Stadia was making more money in the cloud than Xbox was up until I'm surprised at PlayStation now, but I'm not shocked. I would doubt that after Fortnite, with all the DLC that would be involved and stuff like that in particular, I would doubt that if that was counted, that Xbox would be making more money than the Xbox would be making less money than Stadia. However, shout out to Derek Strickland of Tweaktown, I think it is, .com. He had highlighted something in the CMA documentation that shows that in its assessment, they didn't include Fortnite. Because the way to play Fortnite on xCloud isn't through the paid for service. So they're not including Fortnite. So dare I say that, hey, Stadia was likely making more money than xCloud. Or represented more of a market share monetarily than xCloud. Talk to the devs. Very lucrative for them They were very upset. Check what if you don't want to check with the devs, talk to Linus Tech Tips, who after he got a dev kit, talked to the developers after Stadia was debunked, and was surprised to find out that the devs loved developing for Stadia because the amount of money was given them. We showed a pie chart where certain developers were showing us, had showed us publicly to where the bulk of their money was coming from Stadia, even though their game was on Stadia, Steam, Xbox, PlayStation. Overwhelming majority of their finances was coming from Stadia. So that's the problem with xCloud in a nutshell. They failed, not xCloud, Xbox. They failed. They had a great vision as far as, topically. I can't hate on the idea. Topically, I was even bought into it a little bit and said, yeah, PlayStation got to follow this. Topically, they had a great idea as far as how to bolster themselves in the gaming world. You utilize the cloud, you heavily push PC, and you vigorously go in on the console market. And even though you may not, beat Sony pound for pound on the console market, you're close enough to where you finally surpassed them as far as gamer saturation in the cloud, and you surpassed them on PC. So even if you're down 80 million to 70 million on the console, that means nothing because you're beating them, eventually at some point in time, 30 million in the cloud and beating them another 50 million on PC, right? And then you're getting the mobile game, the topical view of their vision was very compelling. They just executed it horribly. They had the money to make it happen. They just didn't have the right people in place for it to go through. Satya, who I think overall is a great CEO for Microsoft, and I'm gonna wind this up because this is the point I'm trying to make overall, is that Satya, who I think is great overall as a CEO for Microsoft, just doesn't understand and relate enough to gaming for it to be a success in the way that he manages alone. And Phil Spencer is not good enough at managing, curating, and overseeing talent to where he can take the lemons that Satya tosses at him and make lemonade out of it. It's like he takes the lemons, mixes it up, and somehow he gets feces. He makes it even worse. So in isolation, neither one of them is fully to blame, but both of them are the sole reasons, and hence why I got them on the thumbnail, the sole reasons why the product is where it is. Horizon Forbidden West, now over 8.4 million sold, not ping, sold. More and more games like Quantum Error. Talking about, man, we don't know what's going on with the Xbox. We can't guarantee nothing. This is looking very bad. And the only thing that can salvage something, the defibrillator right here, that can still keep Xbox alive, still keep its pulse going, is Starfield. Starfield has to be stellar. It has to be. People are turning in their consoles. You have other creators out here crying, hold the line. This is bad. And it's going to be this way up until at least June. If Starfield is not 60 frames per second, at a reasonable resolution, and I think a reasonable resolution, some people may say 1440p. If they can get 1200p, a dynamic 1200p, that's still going to be bad because they're just going to get eaten alive with Digital Foundry. And then if it's not a stable 60, but if they don't have a respectable performance mode, at the very least, a respectable performance mode, they are done. They are done. People said Halo Infinite, sorry for that mic hit, was the tell-all be-all. And now they got a lifeline beyond that because of Bethesda. All right. Doesn't look like you're getting Activision Blizzard. So now everything rests on Starfield. Because by the time Elder Scrolls 6 is ready to even come out early, the patience would have wavered and died out. You have to knock it out of the park with Starfield. And that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Pete Hines and Todd Howard and company. But unfortunately, that's where you're at. And let this be a lesson to any other. I don't think Microsoft can buy anybody else. I don't think anybody else can buy Microsoft. I don't think anybody else would want to be absorbed by Microsoft unless the company is, unless the board is just like, look, here, take it. We want golden parachutes. Just take it. I don't think they can feasibly buy anyone else and expect those developers to stay. Like, they're going to be eerily cautious and ready to jump ship the moment they see the same BS that was exhibited with Redfall. But yeah, it's over. If Starfield doesn't knock it out of the box, it's a wrap. There's no getting around that. Yeah, you know, you could try to damage control it all you want. It's not gonna fly. All right, those are my comments. We got about 10 minutes left before I close shop and get ready for this Dead Island 2 stream. So let's see what people got to say in the comments. Yeah, I got a lot of comments out here. He says, talk about dealer because that mofo's a different level of delusional. I'll say this, man. Hold on one second. Let me get my drink. Let me get my drinky drink. I don't want to focus on an individual content creator. We all know what they were doing. Again. The platform was the platform hype and anticipation was at an all-time high. A lot of people saw that capping for Xbox was lucrative. People that knew better, that knew that despite the rhetoric, there wasn't enough being showcased by Microsoft to really show you that things were going to change. They knew it. They just operated around it because it was going to mean more for the channel. And look at it. Creators who used to maybe get a couple of hundred views when they did a podcast, now they're over 1,000. When this generation, they're over 1,000. You know, when this generation was when we were transitioning into this generation, and now, when we just were still in the throes of the Xbox One generation, they were doing marginal. You know, they were doing okay, doing good, but now it's gangbusters for them. Every video tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, when it wasn't doing it before. You have, I mean, there's some people who are known simply because they were PlayStation people who looked at those numbers and said, holy crap, this is beating what I was doing. Supporting PlayStation. This Xbox market is going bananas. I got to get in on this. And despite knowing better, they've catered their content around Xbox, doing this big old blowout, thing, when they knew better. And they got more rabid in attacking people who criticize even aspects. You know, look at what Dark is going through. Look at others. To where not necessarily Dark, but others all over the place. They got to they got to attack a pony. Right, they got to do their occasional pony attack. You know what I'm saying? For something trivial. Meanwhile, in that same sector, you're doing far worse than PlayStation is. Like, I don't think any Xbox person should be focused on PlayStation at all. Again, I always use a scenario. That's like if I walk out my house and it's on fire. And even if the neighbor across the street, who I don't like, points it out to me, your house is on fire. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, look at your house. You know what I'm saying? Your roof is missing shingles. And I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. My house is on fire. I need to divert my attention away from him. I'll deal with me not liking him another time. And I am full-fledged focused on putting the fire out in my house. And this whole thing, like, well, this is console warrant. No, now's not the time. Most of these people listen to you guys, not just for the entertainment purposes, but again, for insight. It's time for you to use your power, your sway, not to hold the line, but to hold Xbox accountable. They can do better than this. If Satya has to happen twofold. Though, first and foremost, they need a lifeline. Starfield has to be 60 frames per second. They have to have a respectable 60 frames per second mode. It can't drop to 720p most of the time. You know what I'm saying? And all hands should be on deck to make that possible. If that doesn't happen, then it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Now, if they're able to do that, then next Starfield has to be stellar. We can't sit there and say, oh, there's a 60 frames per second mode, but Starfield, it's a pretty good game. It's better than Redfall. That's not going to fly. People still are going to say, this is the best you could do with Bethesda. Like, Bethesda's Bethesda. You have this extreme war chest. What was the point of you picking them up? We could get 80 games from Bethesda when they were on their own. Oh, simply because the game is in Game Pass? Well, no, from Bethesda, we expect top-notch quality. That's why Fallout 76 was hammered the way that it was. I feel like the hammering was unfair. I've said so, but it was a mediocre game. I gave it a 7.5. I thought it was okay. And people didn't want mediocrity from Fallout 76. So they hammered it. They were overzealous in their hammering of it. But people don't accept mediocrity from Bethesda Softworks. They want genre defining. So, okay, sure, Machine Games, id Software, they give you okay games. From Bethesda Softworks, that's where the genre defining games, that's where they're supposed to come from. And if this is just okay, despite having a 60 frames per second mode, then what was the purpose of you buying them? You might as well just continue to outperform Sony in marketing deals and second and third party signings, and diverted a lot of money towards that. So it's gonna be interesting to see. They got to hold that line. That's the hip hop quotable. Hold these nuts and hold that line. Oh gosh. He says, I understood that Xbox was dog-ish in since 2013. You know what? My perspective was they were being harsh on Xbox in 2013. I think if Bomber and Donnie D would have been there a few more years, then the competition would have tightened up. I do think the Kinect was too hampering. I think that, they would have lost to PlayStation still, but it would have been a lot tighter. They would have continued to pursue, big time exclusive deals and stuff like that. That's a given. The games would have got better and better and better. And I think it would have been a lot tighter race. I still think that PlayStation would have squeaked it out. So in 2013, I wasn't, I thought that the media was just being a little too harsh on Xbox. Even though I did think that Kinect was a bottleneck. In 2014, and particularly 2015, is when I realized that there was a problem in Xbox. Just from the things Phil Spencer was saying. That's why my first video in 2017, I was like, I just don't like this. I really don't. It wasn't I didn't like him, but there was just something about this guy that just didn't make me feel comfortable. I said, maybe he's got to gel into his position. I just don't feel comfortable about this guy. And I was right for my assertion. Said Redfall was double agent Philip J. Spencer's job. Yeah, Redfall, ultimately, it was as bad as it was because of Phil Spencer, but I think the failure in the Xbox strategy, the root of it is, hold on one second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I was reading. Thought something important was popping up. I think the failure in the strategy overall, I think at the root is Satya Nadella. His plan is out of order. But I think the nail in the coffin is the failure of management with Phil Spencer. I think the failure in planning and coordination and expectancy of this plan and understanding what's going to make it work, that starts with Satya. But that's where I think Phil, and I think Phil is hamstrung by Satya because of his lack of understanding of what makes gaming work. But I think ultimately you still have enough there to where Xbox should still be doing a lot better than what they are. And things are shipping and coming out so abysmal because of Phil's inability to manage. So it's twofold. Yeah, that hands off ads first. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. They knocked me off with Starfield when they shown us the game for the first time. That there was nothing inspiring from that whatsoever. Doc has an identity crisis. Laugh a lot. That cat went left from. Yeah, I think Doc is in a. Shout out to Doc Dark. I think he's in a unique position because, he likes the value of Game Pass. You know, he likes what it's putting in his hands as far as volume is concerned. But as a gamer, you want to back something that you know is going to inspire you and say, hey, boom. You know what I'm saying? And when you know you're not like, again, I hate to keep bringing up Stadia, but that's why I bought my PlayStation 5. Like, I remember when a lot of my cloud gaming friends, they were gawking at me. They said, hold on, you're the voice of Stadia, but you're celebrating getting a PlayStation 5 and you're getting it day one. And this is at the time when there was an article by Forbes that said that Stadia was more next gen than the Xbox and PlayStation. And at that particular time, there was a strong argument because you really weren't seeing developers utilize, make the game sing all like that. It was a lot of old games, and people had to fight to get 60 frames per second on games when Stadia was at that time coming with them standard, right? This is before SG&E closed. They were coming with them standard, and then you had to know the no downloads, the no need for hardware, the no patches, the Stream Connect. So they were at that time at the state that games were at the launch of consoles this gen. When you looked at what Stadia was offering, opposed to a next gen console. All right, the next gen console the version might look prettier, but there was so much more that you were getting with Stadia at that time. Then SG&E closed, they reshifted focus, and then the consoles became more affluent with content, and then things diverged separately. And I always knew that at least once the console started getting rolling, that was going to happen. That's why I got my PlayStation 5. And that's why I bought a 3080 series, 3080 card as soon as I could after launch. Like, I think a month or two after they launch, I had one. My 3070 card, I meant. There's no way that cloud gaming, with the low saturation that it had, was going to be able to keep up in 2021. Even if Google had put all of its weight behind it, there was no way they were going to keep up with the offerings of a console. Just no way. Because the incentive wasn't there for developers. And then we were dealing with COVID. Like, stop it. But a lot of my console creators, my cloud creators, they were mad at me. They were mad. Why you got that PlayStation? Why? It's because I'm a gamer with a capital G. And nowhere in my message did I tell anybody you should only play on Stadia or you can't play anything. Never in my message did I say that. I said my message was simply give Stadia a try. Don't listen to the pundits. Give it a try. If you don't like it, fine. At least help, Google make it better by telling them what's wrong with it. But if you do like it, okay, now here's a safe space for you to come and talk about and enjoy and learn more about the platform here. That was simply our message. Our message was not Stadia is the only thing you should be playing. Hell no. So, it's just interesting to see how all this stuff plays out. And I think it's unfortunate for people like Doc, who heard all of the, because Doc was a PlayStation guy last year, but he heard all of the hoopla, and then it was being bullshit. And he probably saw, as a content creator himself now, he probably saw the Colt Eastwoods and other creators over bloviate about, oh, this is what's going to happen with Xbox announcement. And these guys are getting hundreds of thousands of views per podcast and all this other stuff. And you think, unless you're the wiser, you think these guys cannot be getting this much attention if they're blowing smoke up our asses. There has to be some validity to what they're saying. Oh man, I'm excited about Xbox now, and the way that they're articulating these things, and these guys sound smart talking about the RDNA 2 and you know what I'm saying, and the SD chip and all this other crap, whatever crap they talking about. They sound very smart about it. I remember a long time ago when I wasn't the wiser. I remember when Diller, this is before I was part of Broadband Bullies. So I got sucked into it too. I can relate to where Doc is coming from. I got sucked into it too. I remember before I was in Broadband Bullies, and I was listening to the Xbox content, because the way I thought at the beginning of the generation is the content that I listened to was being too harsh on Xbox in my mind. So then I discovered Next Gen, Crap Gamer, Mooch, all them, including Diller. And I reached out to Diller one time via DM. And I said, man, because he had just got Colt Eastwood on the podcast, I think. And then he added D Batch to the podcast. And I remember all of them were talking all this tech stuff that I didn't quite understand, because I was a gamer experienced guy more than I was a tech guy. And the way these guys were talking about the tech and the Xbox, the forthcoming Xbox One X at the time, I just thought this thing was going to make my eyeballs melt. And the way they were talking about the chips and the circuitry and all this other stuff, I was like, wow, the Xbox is going to take gaming to a whole nother level. You know, what I didn't understand, they were just propagandizing. They were making things sound way better than what it was, and was just propagandizing talking points from Xbox. I didn't understand. It was my first time dealing with content creation at that level that, quite frankly, was just being that dishonest. Or was doing a lot of wishful talking. They were very well versed in making things sound good and playing off my ignorance and not understanding what the underlying technology they were talking about meant, or if it was even capable. I was ignorant to that. So I remember reaching out to Diller via DM one time as a listener, because I like to give kudos to people that are doing a good job. I do that even now as a creator myself. So I reached out to Diller via DM and I said, man, look, you, Colt, and Diller, you, Colt, and D, being y'all the three smartest guys out here, man, your podcast is the stuff. And he was like, thank you for that. And I think I also asked him too, because I was getting into it like, wait, dude, what do you use to make your videos? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was bamboozled too. I get where Doc is coming from. He said, I make me feel good. He said, Diller made you feel good. Monster, yeah, he put me in that monster ball mood. Feel good. Yeah, I got bamboozled too, bruh. Bamboozled, man. So I can get it. And I was gaming for years. I've been gaming since ColecoVision. I got Bamboozled too. But that's why we do what we do, because now I get the game. I've been doing this for 6 years. Now I get the game. Now I understand what's going on. And really, the content creators nowadays are just as bad, if not worse, than the journos, because people went to content creators because journalists were so bad at providing the facts to you that there was a moment in time that the content creators were better at providing the facts. But here's what the content creators have started to do. They started to take the facts and over-bloviate what they mean. So you're SOL no matter where you go. The journalists don't do enough research. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they even make up stuff at times. They're just more popular. They just have a bigger radius of a footprint. Then you go to a content creator that better understands what's happening, but then they lie and over-exaggerate the end effects of it. And we're one of the rare platforms that, despite the power structure of the journalists, despite the power structure of these more successful content creators, we're willing to buck against all of them. And that's why they try to come to us and say, oh, you supported Stadia. You don't know what you're talking about. That's why they try to fall on that crutch. And I get why they try to do it. Stadia and its failure still had more influence on cloud gaming and your inability to get away with what you wanted to do to flip gaming upside down than you do. With your 60 to 70% market share via MAUs, Stadia's failure still had more influence on the cloud gaming future than you did, even though you're leading in the market right now. That has to sting. That has to hurt if you've been capping for Xbox and then particularly capping for xCloud, even though you don't use it and you don't even understand cloud technology at all. That has to hurt. I repeat, Stadia and its failure had a more direct effect in the future of cloud gaming and its influence in crafting CMA's decision than you did with your market, with you leading in market share. That's how bad you are. That's how much you suck. In death, a carcass beat you. Can you imagine getting your ass beat by a carcass? A carcass beat your ass. Xbox, you suck. You suck. And there is no hope for Xbox. I'm going to close out with this. Get ready for the stream. There is no hope for Xbox unless Satya concedes and opens up more to the artistic needs of gaming, and they replace Phil. They got to do both. Has to happen. If Satya doesn't understand the need, because they're not getting rid of Satya, he's killing it in other areas, and Microsoft overall, he's not going anywhere. But if Satya does not open up to what is needed in order for your Game Pass strategy to work, which is top-notch quality that you clearly ain't just going to be able to buy up, that you're going to have to curate. If he doesn't concede to those artistic needs and willing to concede to the risks that are necessary in order to meet those needs, then you're not going to be able to replicate Disney Plus. And if they don't get someone better than Phil and Phil's spot that can better manage this talent, then there is no hope for Xbox. Period. That's it from your boy. He said, I'm dead. Make me feel good. Yeah, I was up in them DMs. Pause. I was up in them DMs, bro. See, they ain't gonna sit there and do what I had to do to somebody else. I remember there's another content creator on the cloud side. They was all up in my DMs. MM2K, you're the best. I voted for you. Cloud Creator of the Year. Oh my gosh. Can I get a MM2K pillowcase? They were all up in my DMs. And then as soon as they went with a rival creator, they completely flipped the script and started going full-fledged attack on your boy. They started going they were getting out of control. I had to say, you know what? We got to go nuclear. We got to show that DM. We got to shut this up and show that DM. Show that y'all fraud, that you fraud and you're a fraud. They ain't gonna do that to me. I'm letting you know right now. I think I've talked about this before. Yeah, I was up in dealers DM way back in my ignorant days. Hey man, you know, guys, you're the culmination of you. I can't remember how I said it. The culmination of you, Cold Eastwood and Deep Patch, man, you guys are the smartest, man. Make me feel good. Yeah, that was me. But with that said, I appreciate all y'all, man. He said, link them DMs. He said, link them DMs. Nah, I ain't gonna do it. He said, Sean said, I didn't get a pillowcase. You know who I'm talking. Sean, you remember when I had to do that. You know who I'm talking about. I ain't gonna say nothing about them. They ever since that had to happen, they calmed down, man, which is ridiculous. And the reason why I had to do that, because I wasn't worried about myself. I was worried about the platform, because what they were trying to do was attack the brand. That was my biggest thing in the cloud space, is that because people didn't like me, they were trying to attack the brand. And we had creators that were not trying to get in the fray with other people. They were just trying to create content and increase their footprint. And we just wanted to provide the platform in order for them to do that. And because somebody else behind the scenes was sitting there pulling strings and people weren't smart enough to see what was going on, a lot of people got caught up and became enemies when we weren't even trying to make enemies of them. A lot of silly stuff was going on, and their purpose was to try to be like Xbox, smother us out of the game, right? A lot of shady stuff happened, reporting the channel, trying to, get the channel blacklisted, all that stuff had happened. And I just said, enough is enough. I said, we got to show you how nuclear we're about to go. I remember talking to somebody behind the scenes, letting them know, like, look, man, we will, look, if I got to do it, I'm going to do it. And thank goodness we didn't have to go nuclear on the whole community. Well, I don't want to say the whole community, but a great portion of that community, because we were getting there. We just, we had to drop the one bomb just to show how bad it could get. And I think the point was made. But it's all water. It's all water under the bridge now, man. We doing our thing. Cloud Dosage. We're expanding PNTS network. We working with CGTV. Shout out to them. We just doing our damn thing now. Trying to grow access to gamers. That's what it's about, man. I'm always enthused on growing access to gamers. I used to be at work giving 360s out to people who couldn't get one, who wife wouldn't justify the purchase. I was blessed to have a whole arsenal of them. So I give out a couple, one here, one there, and some games that I wasn't playing anymore. So granting gamers access and getting gamers reacclimated to gaming is not something new to me. So we're proud of what we were able to accomplish as Stadia Dosage and now Cloud Dosage. You know what I'm saying? We're happy for that. And we're going to continue on. We're going to continue on trying to help gamers find the best route for them. And then in addition to that, more importantly, we're going to help gamers get a pathway to the truth. So that's it from your boy. Appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Nah. Now, access for more gamers, meaning gamers that are disenfranchised. See, what Phil is trying to do is he's trying to bargain bin access for gamers. I'm not trying to necessarily do that. If you want a game and it's hard for you based upon typical choices, here goes another choice for you to game. Phil, what he wants to do is he likes playing a whole bunch of games. Okay, fine, whatever. He wants everybody to broaden their horizons and just play a whole bunch of games, whether it's something they typically. He thinks that's a mandatory thing within gaming. Where again, the average gamer buys 2 games a year, has about 9+ games in their catalog for an entire generation. I'm not trying to tell you how to game. I just want to make sure you have access to do so. Phil wants to change how you game, and I don't tell consumers what to do. They know what to. They don't need me to help them tell them what to do. Sometimes they just need help accessing it. That's it. And so when he talks about access, he's trying to change habits, and I ain't with that. That's playing people for dumb. You don't know like I know. Nah, get out of here. All right, with that said, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. Until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Give me until like 1:30, maybe 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, I'm gonna do the Dead Island 2 stream. All right, y'all. Peace.